Are you too focused on what your life should look like instead of focusing on how your life actually feels? Welcome to the Search for Serotonin podcast, a podcast all about letting go of what you thought your life would look like and embracing your life for exactly what it is. Hi, I'm Carolyn, and this podcast is my audio diary where I share the struggles of being in your 20s, what going to therapy really looks like, and what it's like to live with severe high-functioning anxiety, clinical depression, and perfectionism. We all battle our own demons, but we shouldn't feel alone because of it. If you feel like you're not good enough or that you're behind in life, then let's start searching for serotonin together. Welcome to the Search Committee. Hey there, serotonin searchers. Welcome back to another episode of the Search for Serotonin podcast. This is your host, Carolyn Farrick, and this week I was joined by guest Mackenzie Edmiston. Mackenzie actually developed anxiety during the height of the COVID pandemic, and since then she has left college, started a business with her mom, and she now has a full-time functioning business, which is Green Goddess Candles, where her and her mom sell high-end candles as well as full spectrum CBD products. They both aim to educate people who struggle with anxiety, depression, or deal with stress on the positive and healthy benefits that CBD can offer. I had the pleasure of diving a little deeper with Mackenzie about Green Goddess, her specific anxiety, and what she does to help manage her mental health. So I'm going to turn it over to Mackenzie so she can introduce herself. And I hope you guys find a lot of value in this interview. So stick around to hear more about Mackenzie's story.
My name is Mackenzie Edmiston. I'm 21. And I first started Green Goddess as just like a cute little online side hustle because I loved candles so much. But then it turned into something much bigger. And I asked my mom to come on as a co-owner as well for a storefront. So that's kind of how like everything started. It happened rapidly, but it just worked out.
That's so awesome. So you started Green Goddess within the last year or so, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So do you want to talk a little bit about what led up to you launching Green Goddess, maybe how you've struggled with mental health prior to that, and kind of what led you to making this jump, making this decision to become a business owner?
Yeah, it's a really ironic story. So I originally started out in college. I was going for like my criminal justice degree. I wanted to be a state police officer. And so I was taking all these online classes, and one was like a drug prevention class. And I was looking at different drugs and how they help people and how some are very bad for people and the reactions. And I fell upon the CBD world. And that's really how I started Green Goddess. I remember it so vividly because my parents were watching a movie in the living room and I was sitting on the couch, like doing my essays. And I was like, could you believe this? And they're like, okay. Like I would just ramble and ramble and ramble. So I really fell into the health benefits of plants, basically. So like the CBD, the medical marijuana. And so then my mind started to go other places of, well, what if you opened up like your own store or your own business or even like your own farm? And it was at the point though where like COVID hit.
Yeah.
So everything went online, and I talked to my parents about like a little bit of entrepreneurship, but I wasn't sure. So I switched to accounting. Which it's for me, I'm like a visual learner. So I like to be in classrooms so I can like write stuff down. And it was all online. So I couldn't get the experiences I needed to learn. So my mental health went downhill so fast. Like I couldn't sleep at night. My anxiety, I've never had anxiety, but like it went through the roof. So now I have a stutter from anxiety. So if that kicks in, just ignore it. But it's like, it's crazy how just one thing can trickle into so many others. And so I remember I was in the car with my parents and I said, hey, like, I think I might step back from school, which I was terrified. And they were like, that's totally fine. Just have some time to yourself, figure out what you want to do. And then I just worked most of the time. And then I had for months, I just sat around. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And back to the whole CBD aspect, I was educating myself. And then I love the whole aspect of like clean candles. So that's really what the candle business is right now, is it's a branding. So I love candles, but it's like I want people to love the products, to trust us. But also one day I want to open up my own farm to open it to people to like a bigger aspect. So for like health, anxiety, depression, like I've fell in love with CBD because it helps me with my anxiety a lot. But yeah, so it's just crazy how people ask, they're like, so how did you fall into it? I'm like, I took a drug prevention class and now I love CBD. So that's how that happened.
That's amazing. I love that it was kind of like this self passion that you kind of stumbled upon and you're like, "Oh my God, I kind of love this, so I'm gonna take it and run with it."
Mhm.
Because that's kind of how I started the search for serotonin. Like I was in therapy every week. I was constantly battling my mental health. And I was like, I mean, I'm already doing this and I want to learn more about it. So why not share that with people? And so the fact that you took that initiative to be like, no, this is actually what I want to do. Like, I'm going to put my focus and energy into that. And now that you actually have a storefront and products and customers, and you have this whole vision of taking it further along, like to becoming a whole farm is amazing. So I do want to touch on really quick when you said that you didn't really suffer from anxiety prior to moving into online learning, like during the pandemic. What was that like? Developing the feelings of anxiety and struggling with your mental health at such a chaotic time in the world where everyone's just like, "Oh my God, I don't know what's happening." What did that feel like?
So it was like I was the kind of person who I wasn't educated on mental health really. So when people talk about anxiety or depression, I'm like, yeah, like, okay. But then when you actually stop being stubborn and like open your eyes to it and feel what other people are feeling, you're like, oh, this is a real thing. So I didn't know what I was feeling, but it's like I don't want to be dramatic, but it's after a while you just go on autopilot. So you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't know how to do this, but I'm just going to get through the day. I didn't have a personality at home. My mom noticed it. And it came to the point where I was like, well, I don't know how to do this. Or I'd try explaining my feelings to other people. And they're like, well, you're just being lazy. I'm like, no, like I can't, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of anger too, I think, because I think I was in denial. But like mental health is a real thing. But that's just something I had to learn myself of. This is how I feel. This is why I'm feeling it. And other people have this too. It's normal and it's okay to have it. Like, but so I've also my mom has learned through it as well because now we educate people on CBD through my stutter now. So she'll tell people it helps calm me down, my stutter, or I fidget with my fingers and all of that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that when were talking about the anger piece, like I really feel that because when you have anxiety and you're just trying to basically say like, "Hey, this is what's going through my mind," the anxiety heightens and you're like, "Oh my God, they think I'm lazy or they think I'm crazy or they think I'm just like dramatic." Like you said, like all these like stereotypical terms that you already are going through your brain like, "Oh my God, they're labeling me like this way as I'm going through my feelings." So then you start to stutter and you start to trip up on words and you start to lose your train of thought. And then you're like, they're just looking at me even worse. And you just spiral from there. So yeah, it's a lot of anger. It's a lot of fear. It's a lot of humility almost like you're feeling very vulnerable. And it's hard to process, especially when you don't have the information on it. You've never dealt with it. No one really talks about it. So thank you for sharing that like vulnerable, honest, like feel of anxiety.
To this day, like it's always a struggle. I just try to notice when I'm doing it. So like my boyfriend and I will go grocery shopping. I don't know what it is, but like anxiety goes through the roof. I'm like speed walking with a buggy, like almost hitting people with it. I'm like, I just need to get in and I need to get out. And like he'll try to calm me down. I'm like, I'm sorry if like I'm being rude or anything. I don't mean to. Like I don't know what it is. Sometimes you can't control it at all.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and public really heightens it, like, that, like, like I get like tightness in my chest and my throat will lock up and like I get really sweaty. And I'll even do it when I'm driving. Like I'm like, I need to get away from people so badly. Like I'm so nervous about like making the wrong move or hitting somebody that I'll like fly, like go like 80, 90 miles an hour. And my boyfriend, he always calls me out on it too. He's like, you don't need to speed. Like people can wait for you. And I'm like, no, I'm in the way. I gotta go.
Yeah, especially during rush hour. You're like, all right, I'm just gonna like scooch over here. I might cut someone off, but I'm gonna get out of the way. Like, it's just I get it. I get it.
Yes, yes. So you said you found a lot of help through CBD, and you said you and your mom now educate others
Mhm.
about mental health through the candle business and through the CBD. Is there a specific type of CBD that you find to be most helpful? Is there one type of CBD product that you prefer over others? What's really worked for you?
So through learning everything, you could do different routes. I chose the full spectrum CBD. So that's different than CBD alone and medical marijuana alone.
Okay.
So a lot of people, they can go either way. It's just up to everyone else. It's kind of like a taste in ice cream or whatever. But I love gummies. So we carry like a bougie bear pack, and they're like a universal goodie, helps with pain, anxiety, depression. If you notice your body gets very tense, it's going to help unwind that. But I also love the vape products just because there's only two ingredients. It's the hemp oil and the coconut oil. So there's none of like the additives, the chemicals, the flavors, which is really good, especially since my mom's a nurse. She likes to know like what's in the product, how are you consuming it. But there's a lot of products to choose from. I just always tell people educate yourself. Like even if you're in like the dispensary, ask questions. You are entitled to questions. If you want to see the lab results, so the COAs, see what's in the product, the percentages, like so many people I think get scared to like pick brains, but you have to. Like if you want a good product, pick a winner. I always tell people like we have people ask questions about like medical and everything, and we're like, I don't know the whole signing up aspect of it, but I'm like, I can help educate you. So like I tell people, if you just want to come in and sit down and talk, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. That's really important too, is just like the education piece because there's so many things people don't know. And if you're already struggling with anxiety, like the fear of asking someone a basic question can already be so overwhelming. So there's been so many times in my life where I'm like, I'd rather like die than talk to this person or show that I don't know something. So then I'll just pretend like I know and get something and I'm just like, I don't think this is what I was looking for. I don't know what I'm doing. So it's definitely better to ask and be fully transparent and say, what's going to help me because I need this help. Like, I think that's great that you offer just like an educational environment. You say, if you have questions, I'm here. I think that is really important, especially when it comes to things like CBD. Not that CBD is, like illegal or hallucinogenic or includes THC, but people who aren't educated about that kind of stuff sometimes can have those preconceived notions about CBD. So the fact that you're just educating people on the healthy, positive aspects of it, I think is amazing.
And it's like whenever we're taught, we like to be very hands-on. So we only have the products in store just because we want to make sure you're getting the right product, that it's affordable to you. Like we just want to make sure it is perfect for you. Um,
Mhm.
but we never ask like, oh, do you have questions? Because that's like in the classroom, the teacher's like, does anyone have questions? And you do, but now it's like, all right, now everyone's waiting for me to ask this question. So I just let them go. I'm like, whenever you want to like talk about things differently, just let me know. But we just like to create like a safe space for everyone. Even if you're for it, against it, just create a safe space to like educate. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so cool too, because not only do you offer the CBD products and the different gummies and cartridges and things like that, you also have the candle aspect. So even if people aren't into the CBD, you're like, hey, we have our candles, and then that might get them in your store and then expose them to the CBD products. And then maybe they learn something new that they never even knew before or found something that they wanted to try that they never knew existed. So that's really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So what has been probably the most challenging part of starting your business? And kind of like a second part to that question, has your mental health got worse, or has your anxiety built or increased or anything like that since becoming a business owner? Has that added any additional levels of stress to you?
So the biggest thing with opening our own store is obviously starting out, like, you're gonna have your struggles.
Mhm.
So in the back of my head, like, as soon as I get a thought, I run with it. So that's where, like, my anxiety comes in. So if we have a slower day where we only make like a few dollars, my brain runs with it. I'm like, this isn't gonna work out. Like, I just need to stop this. And it's so easy to resort to a job where money's guaranteed, where you get paid hourly. Where this is like a lot of hustling and just doing your best, whether people like it or they don't like it. You just have to focus on what you like and what you enjoy. Um, but by saying that, my mental health, it has gone like up. I feel so much better where I'm at in life just because I have time to prioritize myself. So, like, with working with my mom and her being my co-owner, I can be like, "Hey, I'm not really feeling right this day. Can I just have like a half day? Can I take off? Can I come in late?" And she understands that. So that's something that I enjoy. It's definitely a benefit to it.
Yeah, that's one of the perks that I really love about like being a business owner. Yes, there are so many struggles, but like you said, you have the freedom and flexibility to prioritize yourself in a way that a lot of people aren't afforded when they're working in corporate or they're working in a service industry type of job or customer service or things like that. But
Mhm.
whereas when you're your own business owner, you can say, "Hey, I'm going to take a mental health day because I can," or I'm not feeling 100% and I don't want to, force myself to do anything that's going to make me feel worse. So let me just take a step back. So, yeah, that's awesome. That's good to hear that you're taking advantage of that and really listening to your anxiety and your mental health when it's struggling and kind of leaning into that almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, what are some tips that you can give to those out there who are struggling with anxiety, or maybe people who want to start their own business and are afraid? What would you say to them?
So oh my gosh. This is like a big thing I love talking about. But my biggest tip is no matter how scared you are, you just have to do it. I don't care if it's your parents telling you don't do it, your best friend, your significant other, if it's yourself in the back of your head telling you don't do it. Like, you just have to do it. Like, you're going to fail at some point, but you just have to take note of it and learn and keep going. That's the biggest thing. Especially with anxiety is I've just learned recently to talk to it about other people. Cause sometimes I'd like to cage it up and just kind of try to figure it out myself. But I'll talk to my boyfriend Cam and I'll be like, I'm feeling this kind of way today. I don't know why. And he likes to ask questions, so it helps me dig deeper. And it's like, oh, this is an irrational thought that I'm literally letting take control of me and ruining my day, my mood. So the biggest thing is just open up and talk to people. Like, have a person that's your safe space and talk to them about it. Because it's normal. Just let them know, like, hey, can I talk to you about this? And you can always talk to me about what you're going through, how you feel. But just go for it. You're gonna have crazy emotions come up, fears, but it's all worth it.
I love that you mentioned, your boyfriend Cam as a support because one of my biggest supports is my boyfriend Corbin. And yeah, yeah. And I always got so scared about talking about mental health and relationships. And I've had exes in the past who have made me feel like crazy or all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
having just like somebody who genuinely is there for you 100%, no matter what you tell them, they're not going to look at you differently. They're not going to put you down because of it. They're like, "Hey, how can we work through this together? Or what can we do together? Or what can I do for you? Like, do we need to listen? Do we need to talk? Do we need to go do something?" Just having that outside voice that's kind of like neutral, that can be like, "Hey, I just have your best interest at heart. Like, how can I help us get through this?" Almost is just it's so comforting to have. So, do you find him to be one of your main supporters? Has your anxiety caused any like rifts in your relationship, or has it kind of maybe even brought you guys closer together?
So he's definitely one of my biggest supporters. Because we were together whenever I first signed like the lease for the storefront and everything. So I made sure I didn't tell anyone that would accidentally slip up to him. And one night I drove to the place and it was super snowy out and I parked right out front. And he was like, "What are we doing?" And I'm like, "Look at this place." And he's like, "Well, what's going on? Did you like get a storefront or something?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I saw like the tears in his eyes, and that was the best thing ever. So he's like my best supporter. Um, but he'll call me out. My cats are fighting. Oh my God. They're fine. But he does this thing where he knows whenever I shut down. So like if I have a bad day or anxiety or I'm just very tense, he'll be like, "All right, Mac, you're shutting down. I can tell you're shutting down." And so he calls me out and then we can talk about it. So that's the best thing is I like to crawl inside my shell, but he rips me right out. And I'm like, "All right, dude, I love you, but I hate you sometimes."
Yes,
Like
yes.
they mean so well, but sometimes you're just like, let me have a pity party, bro. Let me just close off for a little bit."
Yes. So that's so cool that like you get to have your boyfriend supporting you in all of this. And not only that, but your mom working right next to you. And it sounds like you have like a really solid support system. So that's always like amazing to hear that, you're supported in all of this as well.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So do you want to tell people a little bit more about Green Goddess and where it's located, where they can find you guys, and if they aren't located in Pennsylvania, how they can still check you out?
Yeah, so we're located in downtown Latrobe, Pennsylvania. So it's in like the central heart of everything. There's a cute water fountain. But our store is basically about holistic and eco-friendly products. So we have soy candles made out of beer bottles, wine bottles, whiskey bottles. We have full spectrum CBD products. We have women empowerment books. And we also like to open our store up to vendors for free at least once a month to help other small businesses get out there because we understand the struggle. So it's best to help others as well. But you guys can also find us on our website. So it's www.greengoddess.online, or our Instagram, which is at greengoddess_candles. And then Facebook is just Green Goddess.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I have one of your candles in the beer bottles. It's mandarin and mimosa.
Yep.
And literally last week when it started to get dark out, I was burning that every single night because I'm like, it's so dark and depressing, but like this smells like I'm at the beach with a mimosa in hand. Like it's just like summer hit you in the face. Like it's so great.
I love that. That's like,
Yes.
I'll be making like a full batch of candles. I'm like, "Oh, this is really good." I'll slide it aside. I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm going to take that."
That's what I would do too. I'd be like,
Right?
oh, these are all mine now.
Right. But yeah, so you guys, if you ever want to place full spectrum CBD products as well, like place an order with us. We don't have them on the website just because we like to be very hands-on. But you can always DM us. We'll set up like an interview. Basically, you can ask questions, we'll answer, and all of that.
Awesome. Well, I'll be linking in the show notes all of your links to your website, your Instagram, the Facebook. Do you just want to mention your personal Instagram real quick so we can plug that in there too?
So it's going to be at Edmiston Mack. So it's Edmiston and then Mack at the end. But yeah, that's my personal. If you guys have any questions, you can also DM me on there. I'm open. Any questions?
All right. So, our last question for today is, how do you search for serotonin in your everyday life? What brings you happiness?
Yeah, so I search for serotonin every day by either journaling. I read the Bible because I am religious. And honestly, having an anchor that could be a person, a pet, whoever, spend some time with them every day for at least 2 hours. You can talk to them, but really just being vulnerable because it's not a bad thing to be vulnerable. But yeah.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for your time and to open up about your struggles with anxiety and how you built your business and are now helping people who also struggle with anxiety and mental health. It's been amazing to hear. I appreciate you as a person. I appreciate Green Goddess as a business.
Aw.
And yeah, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to be a part of the Search for Serotonin podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Your podcast, like I said, I'm obsessed with it now. So when my boyfriend comes home, he will listen to it. I still have your crew neck too, the pink one with the little yep,
Yes.
love it. But yeah, you're amazing. You inspire. Like, just keep doing you because you're killing it.